Speaking of buttholes, WWE TV.
This is why you have to watch the whole podcast for those just watching the WWE part.
We got the results of the draft are in. The rosters have been rearranged. People are moving shows. Not many. I mean, some, not many. Not a lot of big switches. But we have a pay-per-view en français this weekend, a PLE.
That's right.
In French. Lee, does any of it matter? That's the real question. That's why I said, speaking of buttholes, because like, does any of it matter? Like the draft, Backlash. Did anything shocking happen in the world of professional wrestling?
Well, yeah, we could. I think, for those who missed the intro to the podcast, we have such a locked in, tight intro. And the new intro could just be, speaking of buttholes, here's Rusty and Lee.
And other controversial statements that I say, right? Just with no context.
No context. So that's my wonder here. So the draft took so much focus that Backlash almost feels like oh, that's happening Saturday. Interesting. Who's fighting? Like, I mean, I know we have in our show notes right here, the card. I could tell you 2 of those matches that were happening. The others, I couldn't even tell you. I did not know Randy Orton and Kevin Owens even had a love affair going on, that let alone that they were going to be fighting somebody.
Yeah. The draft was kind of weird. There weren't many surprises.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what we're coming to see as normal in this Triple H era, that like predictability is okay because it kind of translates as stability, right?
Yep.
There's a 5-match card already. I'm guessing they're going to be a match or 2 added to it. Maybe there's a pre-show event as well. So maybe there's something in the pre-show, but
5 in a pre-show is about right.
I think the bigger deal might be the NXT pay-per-view that's going to be happening in the UFC arena for the first time.
Yeah.
They're putting a lot of energy and a lot of advertising into that show. And so nothing really shocking happened on the draft. All the championships were protected, and it was kind of funny. Even Roxanne pitched a fit on NXT this week and said, "Why wasn't I called up?" And the commissioner said, "Didn't you hear? Like, the champs were going to stay on the show they were on. So you couldn't have been called up. It's not even possible."
Right.
Which is kind of a different angle, right?
It is.
So,
yeah. So here's my hot take on that. And this is beyond the world of wrestling. I notice this in what we do for a living and what I talk about in leadership circles is there was a generation of which we are in that was actually maybe even a couple generations where everything felt so samey. There was events that changed, but I'm not dismissing any other world events, but everything felt like, this is basically the path we're on, and give or take a few speed bumps, that's where we're going. That generation longed for unpredictability. They longed for something to break the norm and break the pattern. I would say if you have children that are in their teens or younger, that the generation that is rising is going to value security and predictability a lot more, just because of the global financial crises, the pandemic. All of these things created so much instability that what they're longing for is leadership and institutions, which I know institutions were on their way out. Like, the entire concept of can we trust institutions is a huge global conversation across the board. I think there will be I always say that life is a pendulum. It swings from one extreme to the other. And I think we got to the extreme where you can't trust any institution. Everything needs to be unpredictable and anarchy rules. And I think we're going to swing hard in the other direction over the next few years, over the next decade or two, where institutions are going to be valued much more. Stability is going to be valued much more. And I think Triple H is the right leader in that time, where the previous leadership was notably an agent of chaos, including coming into Raw minutes before it was going on the air and just going, screw this, we're not doing that. Whereas Triple H will keep a story going, even sometimes despite himself, across multiple months, multiple decisions. So this was an establishment of stability. The
Right.
draft is no longer this thing that just makes everything 100% different. It's reshuffling the deck to get some right seats in the right spot. But even I was like, once they announced, I mean, we did our prediction show, and even the thumbnail I made was like, Cody Rhodes is going to Raw because of Netflix. Um, and then they announced Champions Can't Change Brands. And I was like, well, he's still going to go to Raw by the time Netflix gets there. I'm calling it. But this was a move of no, the new norm is not predictability to the point of boredom, but predictability to the point of it's okay, right? Like Papa H has got you. We're in this together. This is going to be a fun ride, but we're not going to take these wild tangents every 10 minutes that just make you go, oh gosh, I don't even know what's normal anymore. I don't know how to handle this. Like that was the old leadership of the entire system of life we lived in for a long time. And now it's going to be a calling for stability. And that's what this was a marker of. This was the first shot in the stable era. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
um, I'm really excited about SmackDown based on the draft, based on the talent that's going to that show. People with big mouths seem to be going to Raw. People with big in-ring talent seem to be going to SmackDown. I think it's going to be the fun show. I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be the B show, especially with Cody on it, especially with Bianca and Jade on it.
Right.
I think it's going to be really, really action-packed show.
Yes.
But let's look at the card of Backlash, right? Because some of the people we're talking about are going to be headlining this thing in France. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, who were a part of the triple threat match against Logan Paul at WrestleMania, somehow
RKO
are now friends. Yeah,
right.
RKO. Perfectly.
Yeah, which I was like, that's great. That's awesome.
Are tagging against the Bloodline, and this is the new Bloodline, Solo and Tonga, Solo Sikoa. Bloodline 2.0, where Solo dresses kind of like the Godfather. Or Scarface, right? Where we're not sure where Roman is. We don't know who the tribal chief is. Heyman seems like he's being human trafficked now.
Pause.
He's like held against his will. It's really weird.
He's been taken. I want to hear Roman Reigns go, I know where you are.
Is this going to be a throwaway match, or is this going to have major storyline implications?
Honestly, it feels throwaway to me. I mean, Randy Orton's latter part of his career has just been who can we throw him in a tag team with that works with the letters RKO? RK Bro, okay, you're a tag team now. RKO, okay, you're a tag team now. Rated RKO, you guys are back, right? Like it just seems like that's the only purpose Randy Orton has, which fair play. I'm not a big fan of Randy Orton, so I don't honestly care if that's his latter part of his career, but it does seem like a trend. By the way, Rusty, what does MFT mean? MFT Tama Tonga. What does MFT mean? You don't know either. Oh, good, because
I can only use that phrase of very crude acronyms that are not. This is a pretty family-friendly podcast, so I would say
going to my mother flipping trailer.
Yeah, I have. Where do you see those letters? I don't even know.
Every time they reference Tama Tonga, they say MFT Tama Tonga. It was even on his drafted card. It was Solo, the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, and MFT Tama Tonga.
Interesting.
Huh. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, it's throwaway. I mean, the Bloodline itself is clearly in the NWO 2000 era of itself. If you remember, if you watch WCW, after the NWO angle died, it clearly died. There was this like, but that was our cash cow. So what do we do with it? And I'd love to be proven wrong. And I think that Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga are a very interesting version. I think there's going to be some great stuff come of this, but it definitely feels right now like you have to start over. You have to, this isn't Roman Reigns, and so there's no Jimmy Uso, so all the players except for Solo are different, which means you have to rebuild from the ground up. And maybe it would have been great to call them something else, you know, Bloodline Legacy or whatever. But whatever it is, it's going to build to something great in the next 6 months to a year. But right now it's okay. It's whatever. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the bloodline's got to go over here to matter. You
yeah,
know, Orton and Owens dropping a match is nothing based on their careers and the
yeah.
tenures.
And then they'll feud with each other will be the next movement of that, I think.
Maybe so. Yeah, both on SmackDown, I think. And it feels like a pretty low stakes match as it is, but we're hoping that this is going to be something that affects massive storytelling. That it really
Yeah.
is where where more is revealed as
Hmm.
to the behind the scenes of the bloodline.
Agreed.
And I think the bloodline goes over here. I mean, I think they're not known for losing matches, even though Solo
Has
is
lost
what,
everything.
0-4, like in solo matches.
Oh, he's like
Um,
0 and like 30 or 40. Like he has not
yeah,
won a solo match since he beat John Cena.
super weird. So
Yeah,
super, super weird.
right.
Next up on the card. Now, this card may not be in order, but Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane versus the challengers Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Tag Titles. That's an
Yeah,
interesting match.
it is. Are they introducing additional female tag titles? Because they said all champions stay on the same show, but the Kabuki Warriors were drafted to Raw. So, or
I don't
stay
know.
on, yeah. So technically, since they were floating, maybe this is where they introduce a second set, and we have the World Tag Team Champion Women's and the WWE
WWE.
Women's Tag Team Champions. Maybe this goes to some sort of like absolute draw, which I would be weird, but maybe. And there's no other choice but to create a new set of belts. Maybe there's like a double, like what, like Jade pins one person over here and Asuka pins one person over here, and it's like 1, 2, 3 at the same time. And so then they have to like, well, now we've got to create new belts because they both won. Other than that, I mean, I don't see, unless that's the story, I just don't see a reality where they're going to let Jade Cargill loose.
Feels like Naomi might meddle somehow in trying to help.
Oh,
She
that's right,
might,
because she's part of that trio. True.
right? So the Warriors have Dakota Kai hanging with them as kind of their translator,
True.
their spokesmodel, and then we've got EO, who's not on the card, right? And so we got
Former champion.
the deck is kind of in the favor of the Kabuki Warriors here, and yet Belair and Cargill are a no-brainer as like
Yeah.
they should go over strong.
They should beat
Yet,
everyone, including the men's tag team champions.
yet if they put those belts on them, who would ever beat them and take them?
Right.
So
The
they
mega powers
can't,
explode.
and that's why I feel like they can't go over.
Yeah.
But they got to get Jade. Maybe she needs a tag run. I don't know. But what it seems like
Mhm.
is somehow Naomi is the goodness of her heart going to show up to help. And maybe she accidentally super kicks Jade in the face or something like that, thus causing a rift and then setting up a feud between Naomi and Jade, ultimately leading to a feud with Bianca. It just feels like you got
Mm.
to really handle this delicately so you don't
Yep.
bury Jade Cargill. You cannot bury her. You cannot
Yep.
have her lost in the shuffle. So I'm
Agreed.
paying very close attention to this match. I think this potentially could be the most important match of the night, having the most long-term story value on it.
Interesting. Agreed,
Yeah.
but interesting.
And I think the Kabuki Warriors go over with some sort of chicanery or
Chicanery.
next up we got Bailey versus Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's title in a three-way match, triple threat. Is that what it's called? A triple threat match?
Triple threat. Yeah. Triangle
Tiffany
of terror.
Stratton is the no-brainer as who should win this, right?
Well, that's why I was doing the yawn effect, because if it weren't for Tiffany Stratton in this match,
Is this
I
the
would
bathroom
say,
match?
why is this not happening on Sunday Night Heat? Like,
Right.
I just I want to love Bailey. She's my least favorite horsewoman ever, and you've heard my thoughts on Charlotte. And Naomi is great. She's amazing, but I just don't have any, like, I'm not like, woo, I can't wait to see Naomi on TV. However, Tiffy time, she's got something going for her, but is now the crowning moment already?
I
Do
know.
they? Because
So early.
I don't know. I
I
really
I
really thought they were having her go against Becky, and obviously that's not working.
I would
So
love Heyman to make a switch and for to be with Tiffany and for
a
her to be
Paul
called the
Heyman
next
girl.
big thing, the
Oh
the next
geez,
big thing. Because
Paul.
like that was so fitting, and I really think she is the next big thing. I think she
Yeah,
is who's going to end up with the title and a long heel
right.
Gunther like title run.
Ooh,
She
yeah,
sells a match like nobody else. She puts
yeah.
people, she is an AJ Styles caliber matchmaker. She makes her
Ooh,
opponent look incredible
ooh,
in the ring.
yeah.
She really does. Every match she's in,
And
and they know it.
agree.
Um, so I don't know. I don't know if she'll get the
Yeah,
belt. Probably not.
it
Because if
seems
she
too
went one
early.
on one with either of these, it'd be a no brainer, right?
Right.
So again,
So they're protecting
somehow,
something. Naomi's going to eat the pin
yeah,
somehow, and
yeah,
yeah, Bailey's going to retain, I think is the way it goes. But I do think 100% Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton, that is the future of the women's division, period. Like that is your two
yeah,
pillars.
maybe, maybe if Jade, if she passes the test, right? If she has what we think she has in her.
Yeah, fair.
How about a world heavyweight title match? Damian Priest versus main event Jey Uso.
Yeah.
That's a fresh take on a title match.
Yeah, it is. I'm a little bit like, okay, they're doing the breakup of the Judgment Day. Rhea's gonna come
Yeah.
back. They're gonna, I mean, that's
El
like why
Campeón.
El Capayon. Why can't
El
they
Campeón.
just do I like they broke Imperium up? Why do they have to keep breaking up? Like that's a previous leadership era
Right.
tactic. Like I
Yeah.
want the Judgment Day to be, but Dom's now like been seen with Liv, and so there's going to be like so there's shenanigans going on all around this match. I don't think Jey Uso goes over because you have Cody as the babyface champion, so you
Right.
need a heel champion.
And
Um,
face
but
Priest is somehow a face or something. I'm not sure what they're doing with him. It's an
he's
odd.
yeah.
It's an
Yeah,
odd. He has a moral compass now. Somehow, I don't know what it
interesting.
is. Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
maybe they will take it off of him then, but I don't think so. I think
No,
this
I
is,
don't think
hey,
so
Jey
either.
Uso gets an honor because he has now fought for multiple world titles, but not one. And again, the Judgment Day is what makes Damian Priest interesting to me. So I hope they don't
And
break
the
that. But
Usos tag team is what makes Jey Uso interesting to me.
oh, so neither stand well on their own, as
Nope.
far as we've said.
Nope.
Sorry, dudes.
No. And I think Jay, after Jimmy got thrashed by the bloodline, I think Jay is going to rejoin Jimmy. And I think they could
Yeah,
have a great modern era, new era, Triple H era tag title run. They've still got it.
yeah.
Whereas the New Day don't still got it. I'm indifferent towards them now that I don't know. They're just the tag division needs to be great, and the Usos make it great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Yep.
don't
And
think
then we
that
have
belt's
the
changing
last one.
hands.
I don't think it'll change either. And I mean I do think Jey Uso should get an intercontinental run or a US title run. I just don't that moniker main event is what makes me really like I mean he has been in multiple main events. So he is fitting. Like he is main evented Raw. He is main evented a pay-per-view. He had, etc. That being said,
He's no
my
Shawn
wife
Michaels.
he's no
That being
Shawn
said, he's
Michaels.
no Shawn
Wow.
Michaels.
Whenever I have Raw on or the pay-per-view on, my wife will loosely watch and then she'll say something like, "Let me know when Jey Uso comes on." Like
Ah, I love it.
like because the whole she's like, I love this guy. He's the one. She legitimately said, like, he's the only one I care about. Like, he's the one that
He
matters.
is really fun. He
So
is really, really fun.
yeah.
And even more so is probably the exchange that McAfee and Adam Cole have at the table about don't yeet on me, keep it to
Yeah.
yourself, keep your yeet to yourself. It's
Right.
so funny. It's building each week. And it's a really funny comedy gimmick that they're
Yeah.
going with.
I could see him having a title run at some point. Just because, I mean, he is over. He is over. But I don't think it's
But
now.
so is LA Knight,
So
right? And LA Knight hadn't had a title run.
I
So, and he's not even on
know.
this card. So what are they doing? LA Knight's like 40-ish years old too, and he ain't got a lot of time left on the clock.
Hey,
So,
I'm 40-ish years old. I have a lot of time left on the clock. What are you
well,
talking
I hate
about?
to tell you this, but you don't have a lot of time left. You better start
Wow.
taking your vitamins. I'm trying to go for a 30-minute walk each day because I don't. Also, I know the clock's ticking. So,
This is middle-aged men talking wrestling. Speaking of
um,
buttholes, let's talk
the
about
main
the main
event.
event.
I was to say a high grain diet. Yes. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the undisputed, if it's even called that anymore, the
It
WWE
is.
title. The
It's
WWE
it's going
title.
back to the WWE title mostly though.
AJ
Yeah.
Styles, who, what is he? A tweener, a face, a heel? We don't quite know.
He's a
Is he
bad
still a
guy.
heel?
He used
Um,
cuss words on the ramp. He's
he's
a
a
bad guy.
terrible bad guy. He doesn't, he's a terrible good guy. I don't know what he is. He is an older Ricochet with long hair. He's a Ricochet in a wig at this point to me.
Best of all time. But
Now
hey,
he's steroid
hey.
Ricochet.
So there is an interesting graphic that made the rounds. AJ Styles has been the first opponent for Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and I want to say Dean Ambrose was in the mix too. And now Cody, he is their first major feud when they have won their first big world title. So like AJ is the kingmaker, and that's where we're going with this. AJ no longer needs the accolades. He is one of the most decorated champions in history. And I mean, we are getting him in his latter run. So you're talking, when you say like, what is he and stuff like that? I mean, he's had the New Japan World title where he was the big guy that ran forever, the Gaijin who ran rampant. So he's had his time, but he also is the one, just like I said for Mania with LA Knight. AJ Styles is the guy who can show you off, show other people that you are amazing. And it's
Yeah,
90% the fact that AJ makes you look amazing.
right.
So
He's the
Cody
Tiffany
gets that
Stratton of men's
rub.
wrestling, you could say.
Well, wow. She builds herself, AJ builds others. That's all I'm saying. Like I recently heard, I forget who said, I think it was The Undertaker. Think it was The Undertaker who said AJ Styles is the Shawn Michaels of this and the previous generation. AJ
Wow.
Styles is the Shawn Michaels of, because
Wow.
he never works a bad match. He always brings his A game, but more than anything, he elevates every person he wrestles with,
That's cool.
except for Shinsuke in WWE, because that was a horrible like booking. That wasn't his fault though. Anyway,
Yeah. Is there any conceivable reality that AJ would walk away with this belt in France?
they haven't played off enough. What I think they should be saying going into this is AJ's the only guy in 50 years who won the WWE title on foreign soil. That's his claim. Like
Oh,
they should have
against
gone into this
gender, right?
going
Gender
against
Mahal.
yeah, they pulled
Yeah.
gender and threw him out right then, and
Don't
AJ
hinder
took the
gender.
title. They did. AJ hindered gender. Hindered gender. Uh
I think he got released recently. He's
he
gone.
did. He
Yeah.
is. Yeah, famously, yeah, he made some
After
but
The
they should have
Rock just decimated in the ring. It just, I,
right.
he gave him his papers that night. I mean, he just worked him up and down like no one has ever been tongue lashed
Wow.
before. Yeah.
Wow. Well, either way, they should have gone into this match with AJ's talking points being, I'm the guy who wins the title on foreign soil. I've done it before. I'm gonna do it again.
Interesting.
And they didn't. But
Yeah.
buff AJ Styles is a very different version of AJ. I mean, he was the lean, mean fight machine for his whole career. And now all of a sudden he walks in the room and it's like, I can't put my arms down. My muscles
Yeah.
are too big.
I can't clap.
I cut.
Oh my gosh.
Don't clip that.
I hope something good happens in this show. This show feels like Crown Jewel used to feel for me.
Yeah,
This feels like
agreed.
when there's no stakes,
Yep.
everyone's just probably, it's an international exhibition.
Yep.
They're doing some good natured, PR work over there with the
Yeah.
hope of growing the brand over there on foreign soil. And yet, nothing that's going to be kind of a glorified house show, nothing that
Yeah.
interesting is going to happen.
I agree.
I think that's, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And then the next week we start to see um, people on the show that they're now on. We start to see whole new stories develop, and we get to see the build towards SummerSlam start. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, Cody, other than Cody being on the main like focus, this is really, yeah, like I honestly don't know if I see a single title changing hands during this. Maybe, like we said, the Kabuki Warriors match has something interesting going, but otherwise, I think it's status quo. I think it's going to be a good work rate show. But let me just say this: you talk about building international audiences and stuff. I don't know that people, I don't know that I realized just how over Cody has gotten. I was watching something in a reel, a TikTok type thing showed up that was at Disney in Florida, and they had Mickey come out on top of the castle to Cody Rhodes's entrance music, and everybody did the whoa, but Mickey Mouse was the one going, whoa. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a
Incredible.
zeitgeist moment.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than Disney. I mean, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So I wonder if they'll do that in Disneyland Paris, when they're over there.
That's the new thing. Cody, wherever Cody goes, Disneyland goes, what?
Mickey La Mouse.
Roman Reigns was seen at Disneyland just not that long ago, too. So maybe there's some secret Disney WWE connections that are
What if they're
brewing.
working that
Ooh,
new home of SmackDown, right? It's going to be on an
that's USA.
ABC affiliate.
Well,
Is it?
they've already announced it's going to be
Oh, I don't
USA.
know. I
So
didn't know
that's
that.
right.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
NXT's going to CW, SmackDown to TBS or whatever it
What?
is, USA. And
NXT is
then,
going to CW?
yep.
Weird.
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek Station?
To a certain
Smallville?
generation, yes.
Smallville? And
Yeah.
now NXT?
Somebody save
Oh, man.
me.
Well, let's wrap it up. I
Sounds
don't
good.
think we'll ever be on the CW, so we better end our time
Our careers have to go
today.
in very different directions for that to happen. But yeah, thanks for being a part of the podcast today. We certainly appreciate you. Yeah, we said some things, and I hope you know that it's all out of love for this community because truly we love this game, we love this community, and we want to be a voice for good in the midst of it, even in hard conversations. So speaking of buttholes, this has been Lee and Rusty. We'll see you next time. Bye.